Welcome back, everybody. Joining me now are the hosts of Showtime's political docuseries, The Circus. Please welcome John Heilemann, Mark McKinnon, and Jennifer Palmieri, everybody. Welcome back, y'all.
Thank you.
Jennifer, lovely to have you on.
Yeah, great
Nice
to be
to have
here.
you.
Yeah,
Now,
thanks.
listen, you're all people who have worked for presidents, reported on presidents. Russia, this invasion of Ukraine is a big test for president, especially just after their first year has started here. This feels a little bit like the old days when I was a kid and Brezhnev would send out Andrei Gromyko to talk about whatever way the Russian bear was poking the eagle this time, because a new president would always be tested by the Russians to see what their resistance was to Soviet aggression. Does this have any of that echo for you guys?
Well, Stephen, first of all, I just want to, I was thinking back when we've been on your show before. The first time we were on, we announced, as it happened, the results when President Trump became president.
I do remember
The last
that.
time we were on was the week
I've tried to forget it, but
I know.
can't.
The last time was the week of the insurrection. Now, this week we're on as Ukraine invaded. Next time you want to call us, you might think twice.
Fine.
But yes, this is the biggest test, obviously, of Biden's presidency, and some would argue this is what he's built for, given his background as an internationalist and somebody who builds alliances. So, I mean, the thing that's interesting to think about this scenario right now is what would be happening if Donald Trump were president right now, who's such a Putin fan. We'd probably be with the occupation forces.
Now, what do you think about the case he's made so far, John? Because Biden has addressed the country a couple of times about this. He's put in a couple of tranches of sanctions, and there's bigger ones coming down the pipe. How has the case been made so far? Because he has to make the case to the American people that even though we're not going to send in troops, we're not going to be firing bullets, that Ukraine matters.
You know, I think there was before, as we sit here right now, people say that the full-scale, first of all, the invasion's already started. Second of all, the full-scale invasion seems imminent. That's what U.S. intelligence is saying at this hour, right? So, you know, that, if Vladimir Putin is in Kyiv in the course of the next week, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dead. You're talking about the largest land war in Europe since World War II. It's like a world historical event. And I would say that up until this moment, people think Biden has done a pretty good job in the context of dealing with someone who's not a madman, but someone who is not amenable to normal forms of diplomatic pressure and suasion, right? So nobody in America right now wants there to be American troops there. The notion that sanctions are the best tool we have and that we're going to keep ratcheting them up. How do you keep the allies together? He's done that so far. NATO has been steadfast. He's kept that unity of purpose that Putin doubted.
Well, Jen, let's talk about the give a mouse a cookie aspect of this, because you were working at the White House when Putin seized Crimea, without losing a man, by the way. Like, it swept over Crimea. What is it like internally in the White House dealing with Putin when he's on a war footing?
That was February of 2014, to sort of place everyone. And it was stunning and surreal because you think, I think at the time we probably, in retrospect, underestimated what Putin's ambitions really were because we thought he was acting as a rational being. And you just did not think he would really do this. Is he really going to annex a country for the first time, an independent country, for the first time since World War II? Like, will he really be that irrational? And also, remember at the time, it's Afghanistan, it's Syria, there's all these other things happening in foreign policy. So I don't think that we appreciated like what he was willing to do. And then in the intervening 8 years, he's gotten stronger, consolidated his power, his military is stronger. And just all that more dangerous. But, in that moment when you're in the White House, you're having to decide, I don't want to misread this. Is this him trying to regain the Soviet Union? Or is this a small annexation of a country that America doesn't really care about? And, getting that balance right, hundreds of thousands of lives are at stake.
We got to take a break, but when we come back, I will ask these smart folks why so many Republicans are pulling for Putin. Stick around.